Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Steve Bush, and I'm coming to you live inside the studios here at Daniels School of Business in beautiful West Lafayette, Indiana. We have a gorgeous day outside, but today we're inside with one of our students, Ty Davis. Ty is an entrepreneur who is currently a student in our OMBA program. That's our online MBA program for all you joining us here unfamiliar with Purdue's online programming at this time. He owns his own apparel line, Dare to Be Yourself, and we're going to be talking a little bit about his business here today, his journey as an entrepreneur, all the partnerships he has formed with the likes of the Detroit Pistons, American Cancer Society, several large universities, and how the online MBA has helped him in his academic journey. So with all that, I'd like to introduce Ty Davis. Ty, how you doing here today?
Doing good, Steve. How are you?
Doing great. I'm doing really well here today.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, we're glad that you were able to make the trip down. No, it's a long trip from Detroit, Michigan, but, beautiful Indiana is here waiting for you in what we like to call, God's country, beautiful gold fields and corn all around us. So let's get right into your background and professional journey as we start off this conversation here today. You've launched and scaled your own brand. I already mentioned that at the top, Dare to Be Yourself. You've created all of these partnerships. You've had sold out events. Can you tell myself and the audience here today what kind of sparked the idea for
Yeah.
Dare to Be Yourself?
Yeah, so it goes back, in this upcoming August, it'll be 6 years, which is crazy to think about. I was working at Lululemon at the time, and we had to talk about vision and goals, right? That company is incredibly big on vision and goals. And I had the idea of Dare to Be Yourself, but I didn't really know the ins and the outs. I had studied for the LSAT, thinking I was going to go to law school, right? 2 months before law school orientation, decided not to go. Once again, my mom was incredibly upset about that. Nevertheless, I launched Dare to Be Yourself. And what that means is like each and every month we will come out with a more nuanced concept, right? While staying true to the brand of Dare to Be Yourself, right? Our mission statement is we live in a world where everyone's so scared to be. But if you dare to be, what more do you have to worry about?
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Really opening yourself up and getting comfortable in your own skin
Yeah.
with who you are. So, what are these different? You mentioned the mission right there, but
Mhm.
what are these different types of collaborations? I know I've seen things out there like dare to tell your truth, dare to be brave,
Yeah.
or something similar
Something,
along
yeah.
that. Tell me a little bit more about those different initiatives that you're
Yeah.
on.
So, for example, in March, we have Dare to Be Yourself, which is the big company, and then we have the sister company of Dare to Be Female, with March being International Women's Month, right? What started as a retail campaign has now morphed into an entirely separate entity of business
Hmm.
with the Dare to Be Female
Hmm.
conference. Right. That conference was sponsored by Saks Fifth Avenue, Flagstar, Ally Financial, a host of companies that we've partnered with, and now they're sponsoring our event,
Hmm.
right? February, it's Dare to Be Loved,
Hmm.
right? With upcoming Pride right around the corner, we're working on our Pride campaign because when you tie dye, right,
Hmm.
each shirt comes out different, just like no two people are the same,
Hmm.
right? And then like we have in October, we launched Dare to Be Cured,
Hmm.
right? And we partner with the American Cancer Society. November is Dare to Be Thankful.
Hmm.
December is Dare to Be Joyful, while all staying true to the brand of Dare to Be Yourself.
That's a very unique idea with the tie dye. I never
Yeah,
thought about it in that respect. Every tie dye shirt is unique, just like every
yeah,
person.
absolutely.
So with all these different initiatives that you've started, the partnerships that you've had with all types of organizations, tell me a little bit more about what you've learned about brand partnership and community engagement, and what you think future leaders should know and understand when maybe starting their own partnerships or business of their
Yeah.
own.
I think what one of the things is that building that relationship, that is key
Hmm.
within business, but also within like professionally and personally, right? But also making sure that for us, we don't like to have a one-off
Hmm.
like partnership. We love for it to be a continuous working relationship.
Hmm.
And so what that means is like going that extra mile of reaching out to them to say happy birthday or the
Hmm.
holidays, like remembering the small things, their work anniversaries, inviting them to events, reaching out to these, executives and directors, just trying to get to know them because going that extra mile, they will also go the extra mile for you.
Hmm.
But also within that community, like
Hmm.
we are centered, being in the city of Detroit, we are centered around community. And it's just like this when you support Dare to Be Yourself, you support seven other small businesses,
Hmm.
right? And that is just so important. And that goes back to community because without community, we are nothing and we have nothing. And so just making sure that we're doing our part day in and day out.
Yeah, I could tell all of you out there right now when he talks about community and relationships. I've spent the last 3 hours, in addition to many other conversations I've had with Ty, and that is not just a plug. He's probably one of the most affable gentlemen I
Thank
have
you.
ever met, and when he talks about building relationships and community, that's truly who he is. Along with, relationships, building community, let's
Mhm.
talk a little bit more about entrepreneurship itself. Um, what ways has your business evolved since the beginning? And more specifically, how has your experience in the MBA program shaped that
Yeah.
evolution?
I mean, it is just like in August we'll turn 6, right? And
Hmm.
so, as I said earlier, looking back over what we have been able to accomplish within 6 years has been like it it's mind-boggling, right? But I can't not give credit to my mentors, right, who are business owners, like I have a big brother, his name's Dosser. He has several businesses and he's someone who always coaches me, right? But I
Hmm.
also have other mentors who give me advice on business, right? My dad was an entrepreneur as well. God bless his soul. My grandfather was also an entrepreneur. My grandmother was an entrepreneur. But being on this magnitude and on the level in which I'm doing
Hmm.
entrepreneurship, I have to remember it's deep in my DNA. But being a part of Daniel's School of Business has just amplified that, right? When I talk about the contract negotiations, I don't always now have to call my attorney
Uh-huh.
because I just took a class last semester about contract negotiations and reviews, and my, insight on law, right, has just helped me beyond. And so now I can go through a contract, I can point out the two and three things that may stand out to me, and then send those over to my attorney with notes,
Yeah.
right? I wouldn't have been able to do that before, but because I took the class here,
Hmm.
that has helped my business tremendously, along with like, like I can now do a spreadsheet.
Uh-huh.
Before, I couldn't do that. I depended on our accountant for that.
Hmm.
But now I can go in and we have a very much in-depth Excel spreadsheet that my team and I can review,
Hmm.
right? So it's those small things that have impacted tremendously.
Yeah, and that's what that's one of the benefits of being an online learner,
Yeah.
especially. Okay, let's look at it. You are from Detroit, as we already talked about earlier, and you are enrolled at Purdue University in
Yeah.
West Lafayette, Indiana. Also, as you are enrolled in your online MBA program, it is so flexible with our asynchronicity and 100% online classroom structure that you could really take the things that you learn in the classroom one day and go and apply them the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. It's great. Tell me a little bit more about, maybe some challenges that you face as an entrepreneur too. I mean, we've shined you up, and obviously you are very successful and you've done a great job building your brand, but it wasn't all moonlight and canoes, right?
No, no.
There had to be some stumbling blocks along the way. How did you push through these issues? And was there ever a time where you leaned on your Daniel's education to help you get through some of these problems?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like as of last year, like, Dare to Be Yourself went through a 3-year lawsuit against a $1 billion company. We like without your trademark, you don't have a business, right?
Hmm.
Everyone wants to have a business, but are you making sure that you're going through the litigation process
Yeah.
of making sure your business is
Yeah.
successful? And I would say Daniels really helped throughout that process and like making sure that, all of our T's were crossed and our I's were dotted.
Uh-huh.
I would reach out to my contract negotiation professor and I would talk through some of the issues that we were going through, and he
Uh-huh.
would give me some great insight, right? And so I think that through the highs and the lows, my MBA, and when I finish next May, I'm gonna just be so ecstatic because it's like I overcame, right? I
Hmm.
mean, just looking at where I started, like, I mean, I wasn't always like, I never got, a bad grade, like a D or an F or anything, but
Yeah.
like just when I didn't know if I was going to be on academic dismissal,
Hmm.
right? Like, it's those things that because it's been a learning curve for me. Learning online has been different, but I'm grateful for the advisors and the professors who have gone that extra mile to make sure that I am successful,
Hmm.
and I've been able to apply that to my business because being a startup is completely different compared to my classmates who are in corporate America,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know. But I'm grateful because I've been able to learn from them and vice versa.
So tell me a little bit more about that. Graduate school, especially here at the Daniel School,
Yeah.
we do have a rigorous curriculum.
Hmm.
It's not impossible, but you're earning that degree
Yeah.
right now. So at times when you have struggled, at times where classes have become a little bit difficult to you, can you talk to me about the different types of support mechanisms that you've utilized within the Daniel School of Business to continue to push you forward in your academic journey and help you reach those scores, those grades, those
Yeah.
marks that you so deeply desire?
And I mean, I can say I'm still here. So like that just goes to show that everything you all put in place has definitely worked. But I think the success coaches has just been remarkable, right? They set me up for success. Also, the tutors
Hmm.
and the TAs have been phenomenal, right? But
Hmm.
also, like, I would go above and beyond, and I would have like. I would meet with my professors either every week or every 2 weeks,
Hmm.
just to like go over some extra information. If there was any like learning curves or bumps, they would be able to go further in depth with me on what I was missing so I would be
Hmm.
successful. And I think that at other schools, it wouldn't have been that
Hmm.
like that. But I'm so grateful because here at Purdue, Daniel School of Business, you guys definitely cared. And as long as I was willing to put in the work, I was being helped beyond what I could have dreamt of.
So let me ask you about that. That sparks an interesting question in my mind. There's often this perception that in an online program, especially 100% asynchronous and
Hmm.
100% online, that they're looked at as more correspondence courses,
Hmm.
i.e., we take some information, we give you the learning objectives, dump it into an online shell, and say, okay, we'll get it all graded and have it done by the end of the semester. You really talked about interacting with all these different individuals. How has that paradigm either met your expectations for an online program or maybe shifted your perception of an online program since you started at Daniels?
I think it really exceeded because, like, once again, I'm a first generation MBA
Hmm.
candidate, right? And my grandmother always said, closed mouths don't get fed, right?
Hmm.
And so if you don't ask for the help, you're not going to get the help.
Hmm.
And luckily, I was able to reach out to, my academic advisor and success coaches to get the help that I needed,
Hmm.
right? I wasn't scared, I think, and that has to do with me being an entrepreneur. Like, one thing about me, Steve, as you know, I'm gonna ask.
Yes.
The worst you could say is no, or I may not be the person for that. But if I never did that, then I still wouldn't be sitting here and I still wouldn't be within this program.
Hmm.
And so I think, I just really had to like buckle down
Hmm.
and get creative with like what did I need in order to succeed.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes, you heard it here from the source. The worst question is the one that never goes asked. Great point that you're bringing up here today. When you came into the program itself, um, maybe relate this to your academic background
Mhm.
during your undergraduate times, and then the tech focused STEM and data driven curriculum that we have here at Daniels. Um, what did you think about the curriculum, and how has it changed maybe some of your business practices now? I know you said earlier, hey, like I do spreadsheets now,
Mhm.
but far past spreadsheets, like what has it taught you?
I think case studies.
Okay.
Case studies have been a part, I've now added it within my business
Hmm.
or businesses, shall I say. I think also along with that is just making sure that I am each and every day like going above and beyond to
Hmm.
make sure that I'm meeting the metrics,
Hmm.
right? And I mean, case studies and things along those lines have just helped beyond.
Hmm.
So that's what I would have to say is that has helped tremendously.
Yes, really trying to, with your foundational courses,
Hmm.
take those foundational courses, carry that data-driven approach into your core courses as well. And, with that type of approach, how has that shaped maybe your elective selection?
Yeah.
Because within our MBA, we have a wide variety of elective options and specializations that you could pursue. How has that maybe, this newfound education sparked interest in different types of elective options that you have in your MBA program?
It sparked a lot, especially like the classes that I'm taking right now and I will be taking coming back to campus for in July,
Mm-hmm.
leadership,
Mm-hmm.
because I always thought that like you were a natural born leader,
Mm-hmm.
right? However, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
And I just learned that 2 weeks ago in mod one of summer classes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so learning about like leadership and the characteristics that each leader has. Are you going to be a boss or are you going to be a leader?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
Mm-hmm.
so learning the differences there. But I also want to circle back and make one point. Being an undergrad student and majoring in communication and a minor in business, it's been night and day in classes
Mm-hmm.
because yes, I can talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
But being able to do the data and the Excels and things like that, it was completely different being a minor compared to my MBA.
Mm-hmm.
So just seeing like that huge learning curve of things that I thought about in undergrad compared to now.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to kind of circle back on that.
So you touched base a little bit on leadership, and
Hmm.
you also mentioned how you're going to be coming back to beautiful West
Yeah.
Lafayette here in July. Ty's actually going to be joining us for our Leadership with Empathy course, which is an immersive experience. Although our online MBA is 100% online and 100% asynchronous, we do have limited opportunities to come to campus in order to work face to face with your peers.
Hmm.
Tell me a little bit more about why you chose living, 4.5 hours away to make the trek back to West Lafayette to take leadership with empathy and to complete that course here on campus. What excites you about that class? What are you hoping to get out of it?
I think for me, it's like, once again, building those relationships with my classmates. When you're working in groups, right? It's like, yes, you get to know them, you get to interact with them, but it's nothing like being able to be in person and learn from them and us learn from each other, right? And it's just, once again, building that relationship.
Mhm.
And so that's why I'm coming back, right? Because I'm a firm believer what you get in is what you get out. And
Mhm.
so far, me coming to Purdue and being a part online, the community has been unmatched, right? Compared to what I thought it would have been. And so I'm coming back to grow relationships and to learn
Mhm.
from the professors and from you.
So tell me about that a little bit more. Our curriculum, the coursework that you're doing,
Hmm.
70% of your courses are going to have some type of teamwork,
Yeah.
or in your case, have had some type of teamwork component to them. How have either peers or alumni played a role in potentially opening new doors for you or leading to new collaborative opportunities moving forward, being such a relationship guy and partnership guy that you are?
Yeah, I mean, it has played a huge role because I reached out to an alumni who was actually a Daniel School of Business ambassador. And because my goal is to step in within corporate America. And I didn't know her, she didn't know me. We were connected via LinkedIn. I connected with her because of orientation. And because of that, I will be starting a job next month with SAP.
Wow.
So, I mean, that just goes to show the ROI, the return of investment of this program,
Uh-huh.
right? I haven't even completed it yet. Yet I've already gotten an amazing offer with an amazing company. So, and that wouldn't have happened unless I was in the Daniel School of Business.
Wonderful, wonderful. How do you plan to, be successful as you press on through the last year of your
Mhm.
MBA? You go ahead and you start this new position with SAP. I imagine you're probably still going to have a role in
Yes,
Dare to Be Yourself.
yeah, I'll be owning partnerships and collaborations. One of our directors will be stepping in the interim CEO,
Mm-hmm.
and I will just be owning the partnership side of the business, which
Mm-hmm.
is really where I excel and exceed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm beyond excited. I think you know me, but time management,
Mm-hmm.
everything is planned.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so just this is gonna help with my time management even more.
Mm-hmm. No, that's absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic, and I'm so happy to hear that, not only have you been able to, take what you learned in the classroom one day and negotiate contracts the next day, but now you are really taking that leap of you've got a year under your belt and employers are already wanting to get their hands on you, Ty.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
that's great.
yeah, I'm beyond excited. I mean, it still seems so surreal
Uh-huh.
because SAP is such an amazing company.
Mm-hmm.
And to know that I'm gonna be a part of it, I'm excited, but I'm also like, this is what innovation is about, which is
Mm-hmm.
part of Daniel's
Mm-hmm.
mission statement.
So, looking at Daniels and the program itself a little bit more, because a lot of people, what they also think about when they come to an online program, we talked about some of the stigmas before, but they also want to look at not just the content, but the quality
Mm-hmm.
of instruction, as well as what goes on inside of the classroom. And we started to touch on it before, but I wanted to ask you a little bit more about how the faculty that we have teaches the courses. They're the same faculty that teach in our residential program. So, and I want our audience to know that Daniel's Online, we will give you the same academic experience online as you get in the face-to-face program. But I want to hear it from you. What's the classroom experience been like? What have the sync sessions been like? What have the live recorded sessions been like? What has it been like just taking an online course?
Yeah, I mean, I think if anything at first, it was challenging, right? Just because like having a startup and having a successful business is different from learning from, you know, the corporate, like learning from the professors, right? But pardon me, I think with being able to just make sure that I am taking that extra mile to ask those important questions and to make sure that I'm learning differently, but also keeping up with my peers,
Mm-hmm.
I think has been something that really has set me apart
Mm-hmm.
because I am that, I mean, I was an only child, so I may learn differently, and it may take me a couple more times to learn what I'm learning, but once I grasp it, I'm off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's been like the most overwhelming, not overwhelming, but just being able to overcome
Mm-hmm.
that challenge at first.
Mm-hmm. So, like a tie-dye shirt, all of our students are a little bit different,
Yeah.
right? And everybody focuses on something a little bit different within their curriculum. You've talked here a lot about leadership today. Has there been an instructor, a course, another faculty member that has really influenced maybe your leadership style or
Yeah.
given you tools that you could add to your work box?
I would say Professor Joel Mendez,
Okay.
or Dr. Joel Mendez. I'm taking his class right now in leadership, and I took his class, I think, last year also. And that professor, along with the contract negotiations professor, those two have stood out beyond because those were courses that I wasn't only interested in, but they brought a different approach to things that I didn't know before.
Mm-hmm.
They broke down leadership and contracts and things of my interests that I've never heard before. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought I knew a lot about leadership, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being a CEO, being a founder of a company. And not only that, my mom always said I had the gift of gab, right? And so I naturally thought I was a leader.
I don't believe it.
Yeah.
I don't believe it at all, man. I don't believe it. You
But
and me both.
right? But I think just learning what a real leader is and learning the difference from a boss and a manager and a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Those things have just really stood out, and I'm excited for the course next month as well because that's another leadership course
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Mm-hmm. Also, within that course, we talked about the immersive experience here today. It's not all work and no play. Ty's going to get exposure to campus. Being from Detroit, he doesn't get to experience Purdue University a lot. So we have several Purdue excursions that are exclusive to these students, and you could only get here on campus on top of networking opportunities with your peers after hours, along with our faculty and staff. So keep that in mind if you're taking a look at our program, and if you're thinking about doing an MBA anywhere, the immersive experiences and the networking and partnering opportunities that you might get. I wanted to move on to a bit of a different topic, something that you're a little bit more passionate about. You just mentioned, hey, I've got the gift of gab, right? You're a public speaker. You're a creative individual. We've got somebody from your marketing team over here doing some video for us right now. You're an influencer. Um, how do you think the online MBA empowers diverse voices and change makers like yourself?
I think that it it plays such a big part because, I mean, you remember when I had that interview
Hmm.
for the Daniel School,
Hmm.
right? And I didn't really know what a change maker was, right? I didn't know how diverse, because everyone can speak about diversity, but is it actually a part of the program, right?
Hmm.
And so just seeing like there are diverse
Hmm.
faces within this program, there are actual change makers and decision makers, right?
Hmm.
And so seeing that, it is just really boosted, like I would say the Daniel School of Business, like morale in a
Hmm.
way.
Hmm.
Just because like I know that each student or even the professors, like they are what they preach and
Hmm.
that they really are authentic. And I think that that played a big part in which why I came to Purdue and Daniel School of Business.
Yeah, one of the hallmarks of the program itself, to your point, is, and one of the hallmarks of online education is the access that it
Hmm.
provides to so many different people from around the world. So in our program, tell me a little bit more about what you might have learned specifically from your peers, because we've talked about faculty and whatnot, but with the amount of group work that we do, that peer-to-peer interaction, that's super important and super informative as well. Tell me a little bit more about the, different things you've learned from your peers who are, located here domestically and all around the world
Oh
in our
yeah.
program.
I mean, right now in my leadership course, we have a student who's in China as well.
Hmm.
And I'm learning, and I studied abroad in China as well. But just learning so many, I think, not only like their everyday, but like their professional and career goals,
Hmm.
of like learning how like they lead meetings and like seeing like compared to like how I would lead a meeting, right? Learning about like the HR side of like corporate, like from a young lady who's in my class who's in a
Hmm.
corporate HR level position compared to like us having like my attorney and dealing with situations like that. So it's been different, but it's also been such a great learning experience though, because I can reach out to them or they can reach out to me and they can ask me questions and vice versa, right? And yes, it may be a lot of typing, a lot
Hmm.
of, I'm looking at my phone a lot because, classes, like we have a upcoming project that's due, I think Sunday, but we're going to work on it. We're getting together. We got to work on it throughout the week,
Hmm.
but then Saturday we're going to meet to like compile all of our, data and everything
Uh-huh.
together. And I think time management
Hmm.
and making sure that you are really making sure that the expectations of what the classmates are saying are
Hmm.
met. That way, when we get together, we're not wasting time.
Hmm. Hmm. Tell me a little bit more. You talked about building community. You talked about the impact that you have on others around you.
Hmm.
How has your ideas on the social impacts that your brand has and business ethics, how have those maybe been shaped by the MBA program?
They've been shaped tremendously. I think overall, I'm always looking further in depth to see how can we, make let's say we're presenting to a partner, right?
Hmm.
And making sure within that case study that I'm adding in, things about leadership or hitting towards a contract negotiation course or
Hmm.
something along that lines or adding a data standpoint to really stand out when presenting. I
Hmm.
think that that helped tremendously because those were things that I didn't really know. I knew about it, but now I'm engulfed within it.
Hmm.
And so it's amplified me in the way that I do business and the way in which we approach, potential partners and things like that.
As we start to, wind down our conversation here and wrap a little bit, um, got a lot of people. Ty, I don't know if you know this, we're on the internets right
Yeah.
now. We're open to the world. Millions of people watching at this time. Okay.
Hmm.
Lots of those individuals are going to be wanting to pursue an MBA or a graduate school education. What is one piece of advice or one word of wisdom you would give to somebody who is looking to come and pursue an online degree with Daniel School of Business?
I would say for me and why I chose Daniels were the three I's: innovation, inspiration, and integration, right? And really making sure that you're looking at the mission of the institution. And here at Daniels, they're very
Hmm.
innovative in everything that you all do. The inspiration is unmatched.
Hmm.
And just really making sure that you know that you're going to grow within your program, not just online, but that your professional and personal goals will be met.
Hmm.
That is something that I thought about. And one thing I have to say is that I said it earlier that yes, it may have started out bumpy, but as long as you dream big, that you can achieve it. I never thought that when my GPA wasn't where it was, Steve, I
Hmm.
didn't think that I would still be here.
Hmm.
But I'm here because
Hmm.
of the hard work and people not giving up on me. And that's what it is a part of, being successful, especially in an online MBA course.
So let me follow up with too. We've got many mantras here at Purdue.
Yeah.
We've got boiler up, we've got hammer down. But
Yeah.
one thing that we always talk about too is taking your next giant leap.
Yeah.
So based off of that last answer that you gave, tell me a little bit more about what that phrase means to you, taking your next giant leap.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm taking my next giant leap into my career. And that wouldn't have been without Purdue University Daniel School of Business, right? So I think I'm a living, walking testament of taking that giant leap, not only in business as an entrepreneur, but also now as someone stepping into corporate America who's only going to soar and go
Mhm.
to the next level.
So let's go ahead and let's kind of end our conversation here with this last question today before we totally wrap. Looking ahead, how do you plan to leverage your MBA education moving forward as you take your next giant leap?
I'm going to leverage it in ways in which I could have never thought. Not only is my business going to continue to excel, but I'm going to continue to excel within my role at SAP.
Hmm.
And I am beyond excited because I'm going to also be able to help others, achieve their dreams and take giant leaps who are also within corporate America. And I'm always going to be like, go to Purdue. Let them know I referred you because seeing what I was able to achieve, you can achieve that as well, plus some.
Yes. Yes, wonderful. Ty, this has been incredibly inspiring here today. It's been a fantastic conversation, hearing more about your business, Dare to Be Yourself, how that journey got started, how Purdue has influenced that journey itself, and how you intend to continue to grow even post MBA here a year from now. A year
Yeah,
from now, I'll be talking to graduate. How
yeah.
exciting is that?
Beyond exciting. I mean, I think next May I'm already counting down, already booking hotel rooms and things like that. Don't even know the graduation date, but I was like, okay, I gotta figure that out.
Yeah, start looking at that, start
Yeah.
booking your hotel rooms now. And for those of you watching, again, we'd like to thank you all so much for joining us here today. We are incredibly happy to speak with you and to, show and display our MBA and its flexibility and its data-driven curriculum to help you guys, maybe pursue our program to allow facilitation of your own career path. If you are thinking about applying to Purdue Daniels, and after hearing Ty today, I don't know how you couldn't. Fall 2025 applications are due in on August 1st. So make sure that you get your application in before then. We are turning and burning applications right now to try to get people set up for the fall, even 3 months out. And even more exciting, Purdue has just recently released a statement regarding our tuition reduction for the MBA program. So please go ahead. You could find that press release on our website, business.purdue.edu. If you have any other additional questions about the online MBA program, of course, my name is Steve Bush. I'm the Senior Program Manager for the online MBA. sgbush@purdue.edu is the best way to contact me. Before we sign off here, Ty, do you have any final words you'd like to leave the audience with?
I just want to say if you're considering an MBA, you would not go wrong coming to Purdue University Daniel School of Business. If I did it, so can you, plus some.
Wonderful. You heard it from him, folks. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We appreciate your time, and hopefully, we'll be talking to you soon.